Waiting on your boy, huh? Welcome back, Team DWC. It's your boy TWB Popcorn. I already know what time it is. Another Saturday in paradise. If it ain't paradise, you know to hit the buy me a coffee, and we can talk about how to fix that for you later. Shout out to your monetization coach. We gonna be out here keeping that popping. You know how we do it on YouTube, Rumble Studios. So we on Rumble as well as YouTube. So y'all already know. Log in with the YouTube and the Rumble. If you prefer to watch me on Rumble, you'll know why. Hey, shouts out to YouTube for making the introduction. Then you can find me on Rumble. And we can go a little bit deeper. Sled, what's popping? See you moving around this morning. He was over there for Spider Pig with Super Saturday. Y'all know y'all check out the big homie Sled. Yeah, get them subs up over there. You know, he trying to do his THING too. You see what his camera looking like. Camera looking like so we can get into the video.
Grandma, quitting drugs is viewed more positively than never taking them. Until we meet again. Pick a strain, whatever you want, you can get. In the sativa, never rolling plain Jane. I know some people, if you want, drive 50, we ain't gon' cop any. Little mama got plenty, so many strain, pumping the flame, nothing but troll. One for the brain, one for the body, one for the soul. Running with strange, keeping the party under control. Up the wave ride, how far are we gonna go? Smoke team in the building, got 'em is what the deal is. Recognize coming with Burns, Felix with Phil, County boy, got the liquor. Castle was on the fader, Stevie came with the greenery, mixing multiple flavors, whatever you want, homie. Tell me when to say when. How about you and your friends? Come get with me and my friends and keep it real with me, girl. I don't want to pretend like this is a new thing. Really, that's what it's been like.
Well, that's another reason why I do with Socially Wisdom, because they currently do have the free speech as part of their platform liberation, which is why they got problems over there. But that's gonna be a part of any battle. You know, you're gonna have problems dealing with anybody. YouTube, they got their rules. Every platform has their rules. But the least good thing about Rumble at the moment is you can say, oh, well, you can be more free with your speech over through them, and then you can just keep on doing what you got going on. You did. Hell, like when YouTube gets tired of my shit, they can kick me off. Guess what? I'll still be over there on Rumble. That's why I tell y'all don't fumble the popcorn. You see what I said? Make sure y'all pick him up wherever you know he's posted up. You dig? Shout out to the Buy Me a Coffee though. Let me get my link dropped in the chat. 6 miles is running around busy this morning. She normally would have dropped it for me. She must be in her other phone. Shouts out to her though. She got things going on.
Here we're legalizing cannabis. And so this is Cannabis Legalization News. I'm an attorney you can find over at CannabisWLawyer.com. My name's Tom, and we're here to discuss, is Schedule 3 a done deal? It's been taken off the schedule until after the election. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have come out in favor of legalizing it, with Donald Trump at least calling for Prop 3 or Amendment 3 in Florida to pass, and Kamala Harris wanting to continue the rescheduling process that Biden started. And on December 2nd, mark your calendars and join us. Subscribe and like this video so that you'll get notice on that December 2nd. There it is. And so I did a blog post about intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids and how they're still illegal, but so would Schedule 3 marijuana. And so we could talk about IHDs or just regular, natural Schedule 3 weed. It lacks the FDA approval. One of the things that we hope might happen with Schedule 3 for natural marijuana is what they call GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Now that natural marijuana has a recognized medical use, but no data that's out there, maybe they could say this natural marijuana product has been in the food supply for thousands of years, and they would generally regard it as safe. That may fix a certain loophole that would apply only to the marijuana industry, but not to the intoxicating hemp industry, because those are just descheduled. And so you can have hemp-derived THC that's not safe, but then marijuana THC that is safe. That would be really, really interesting. The other stuff that's out there is adulteration and misbranding. I have the adulteration and misbranding statutes. Those are under 21 USC 31, 342, or 352, and they have certain compliance aspects that you have to have. To the extent that it is being used as a drug as well, you have 21, let's say 331, which says that it's illegal to introduce or deliver for introduction any new drug into interstate commerce unless it has undergone FDA approvals process for safety and efficacy. I'm not sure if granting it GRAS status would be sufficient to wave a magic wand under natural marijuana, but that wouldn't apply to like intoxicating hemp derivatives. And we'll probably be live during the hearing. I wonder if they will discuss granting GRAS status to natural grass, being weed. For more on that, let's stick around and talk about, is Schedule 3 a done deal? What does that mean? What's going on with that? Let me share my screen because I have an article about how both parties saying the same thing when it comes to cannabis legalization. Here we are from Reason Magazine. Both presidential candidates, as of September 4th, so with 2 months to go before the election, they take it off the table. And not only do they take it off the table, they also take off the ability for scheduling to happen prior to the election, with the DEA setting a December 2nd hearing date for public comments to be aired about rescheduling it. It appears that it doesn't matter what party wins, but one of the reasons that I like Reason Magazine is that it links out to interesting stuff. So Donald Trump is catching some flack for what he has said previously in the past, but he said different things depending on what past he's had, because Donald Trump's been around for a while. This article has spawned fact-checking on both sides. First, we're going to dive into Donald Trump's. Here he is when he ran the first time back in 2015. When he called for ending the war on drugs, he meant it should be fought more aggressively, is what the presidential contender back in 2015 said, that he never thought drugs should be legal. And Reason Magazine then links out to this Miami Herald article from 90. So that's how old this one is. Donald Trump's been around so long that you could find him vaulting on issues, let's say. To beat drugs, make them legal, kill off profits, Trump declares. And he had some, this was in the Miami Herald. And so some of the quotes that he had in it were pretty interesting. Trump blamed the country's drug problems on politicians who don't have any guts, and enforcement is a joke. We're losing badly the war on drugs. You have to legalize drugs to win that war. You have to take the profit away from these drug czars. Donald Trump, 1990. Where was the other candidate? And how has she evolved? As now Kamala Harris appears to be taking the Biden approach and continuing the liberalization of Schedule 3 for marijuana, hopefully releasing all the prisoners and decriminalizing. But let's watch her evolution on this issue. This is out of the Associated Press, so as fair and balanced as you can get without actually being Fox News. It's not really fair and balanced. It's one of the things. The Associated Press, though, it's been around for a while. What do marijuana, the death penalty, and fracking have in common? Harris shifted positions on all of them. I did inhale. Harris also changed positions to other hot-button issues, marijuana and gun control. Most Americans live in a state where marijuana is legal in some form or another. You probably do. I do. However, she used to be the enforcer of cannabis laws and opposed legalization in California. She defended marijuana use for medicinal purposes as district attorney. She did, however, prosecute more than 1,900 people on cannabis-related offenses. When she was running in 2010 to become California's attorney general, she opposed allowing marijuana sales for recreational use. At the same time, she said it would cause confusion in the state's loosely regulated medical marketplace. And when she was running for re-election as California's attorney general, she said she did not support legalizing recreational use. By the time she was running for president in 2019, however, she had reversed course and was even joking about smoking and trying the drug. I did inhale, she says, during an interview that she gave with a twist and a nod to President Clinton's 1992 comment. And earlier this year, we have a quote from her saying, "It's absurd that the federal government classifies marijuana as more dangerous than fentanyl. That's patently unfair," she said. So there we go. She has also evolved her position. Which one do you trust more? Or does it even matter? Is Schedule 3 a done deal? If Schedule 3 is a done deal, Well, what does that mean going forward in the future? Well, let's imagine and say that cannabis does get rescheduled to Schedule 3. Does this solve all problems magically? No, we're not even close to being done. It's important to understand that when you move marijuana to Schedule 3, that only affects federal law. States are free to do their own thing. Some states have trigger laws and automatic changes in place. I've done a video on that. Check out our channel for my law on trigger laws for what happens when Schedule 3 occurs and see if your state qualifies. That also does not change anything when it comes to the issues of banking or putting marijuana or hemp into the nation's food supply. Because you see, cannabis businesses, they still can't use banks freely, and banks will probably start warming up more with Schedule 3. Taxes will be amazing. It'll just be like they're regulated like any other business or the hemp industry. And maybe the hemp banking, which has easier access to banking, will catch up with licensed Schedule 3 businesses, which is nice. And then that's still not getting us to full legality. For that, we need to talk about the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. I have also done videos on that. Check out the video that I did about why intoxicating hemp derivatives are not as legal as you think. So then what's next? We got Trump and Harris both on the record saying marijuana legalization is coming, if done correctly, according to Donald Trump, which I'm assuming, reading the tea leaves, means Schedule 3. Now, do we really trust him? Donald Trump had 4 years to make progress on this, and he gave us Jeff Sessions as an attorney general who said, good people do not use marijuana. And then we did have Kamala Harris around the same time not supporting legalizing it in California and prosecuting as the state's attorney general before she changed her tune in 2019 when Joe Biden ran. And he has done more by his executive action to reschedule than anybody else. But is rescheduling a done deal? It could be. It appears that both parties are on board, and if Florida legalizes in November, it's probably definitely a done deal. Way more so than like if one of the Dakotas does it, because there's 20+ million Americans in Florida, and it's just starting to get ridiculous. Everybody lives in a state where it's legal, except for you, sucker. But that's not the case with Schedule 3. Then everybody would live in a state where the federal law respects medical marijuana. Some of those states would be triggered to match federal laws. Some of those states would need.
I ain't got to say too much about it. Like I said, anything hemp is legal. So if you think you live in a state where weed is legal, you better check out what hemp is in 2024. And if you don't know what it is, I got a video for you. Just check the playlist. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to the playlist because we got videos in there that cover this topic very well. So therefore, things may be legal in your state, but that's just for the people that don't know what's actually going on. Hell, it's a CBD store right there by you. You seen it before you wonder what the hell it actually is. Go in there. The rabbit hole gets deep. Take the red pill, Neo. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to be in the Matrix. You're not supposed to be the one, but you in the Matrix though, right? Shouts out to Talking with the Word. Let him wrap up and he's gonna be up out of here, right?
From grassroots supporters to get in compliance with that federal law, and then if there's a way for the marijuana producers to get in compliance with FDA regulations, we could see interstate commerce, I don't know, by 2027 or so. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, tune in for more of it. We do our podcast live on Sunday.
That's going to be our musical selection of our actual video topic, which is coming up, but you know, we gotta pay bills. Shout out to paying the bills. You know, the bills stay paid. That's right there. So you type of being. I mean, you need to sign up. We already signed up. Y'all need to sign up. Click on Buy Me a Coffee. Go to sign up, right? Right, y'all want to sign up? I know you want to sign up. We had $34 for the lunch. Shout out to all them Buy Me a Coffee donations and members. You know who they are. We got Monday at level 2. Y'all gonna see her coming up. We got the Jay Jordan. He's a level 1 member, but he pays for the full year membership, so he gets his respects because that $40 all that once it comes in. Then he gets 2 months for free because you only got to pay for 10 months when you pay for the year. So you dig? I ain't gonna tell y'all how to save yourself some money. Y'all better get over there and make it happen. Just have this on medical here. Technically, I mean, there's legalities behind everything. But the rights you give up is you give up rights and freedom every day in America. That's the thing that you gotta remember. They only say that shit in public, but we all know what happens behind closed doors. Hell, at my house, I run my house. Hell, they can say whatever the fuck they want in the streets. I'm gonna go pick up this bag. I'm gonna come home, smoke my weed, and y'all gonna leave me the hell alone. Hell, rent too high for that shit. Straight up. But anyways, let's get into today's actual video topic because like I said, that was just a warm up with a note from the lawyer. We got another Mr. Grower video. Shout out to Mr. Grower because we've been over here in his bag and his collection. We're going to order.
Welcome to the Garden Talk.
Hold on, Tito, you going a little bit too fast. I'm still talking. Anyway, we're gonna be ordering this book off of Amazon coming up because we're gonna do a review on that during our winter break this year. So, shit. Let's see. So, let's see where we at. But anyways, like I said, we're going to be doing that during our winter season. Shout out to keeping some things growing up because I got to get the next batch of seeds germinated this week also. So, we'll probably do a video coming up on that. But the topic today is budget-friendly gardening ideas to save you money. So, how you spend less grain to get more grain, which is what our video topic was, I believe. Yeah, more grain for grains. Which, hey, if you start saving in the garden, you'll actually be able to do more in the garden, right?
Podcast where we interview growers from all over the world, both beginners and experts, seeking to learn more about what they know about gardening and how they do things in their garden. Hey everybody, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris, aka Mr. Grow It, and you're tuned into the Garden Talk Podcast. This is episode number 141. In this episode, I interview Mike from 420 Things. He has been gardening for 15 years and grows a variety of plants. He's big into gardening on a budget. In this episode, he reveals many budget-friendly gardening ideas to help save you money. If you want to see short clips of these podcast episodes, search Garden Talk Clips on YouTube. I also have a gardening channel where I show the plants that I grow. I'll link both of those channels down in the YouTube description section below. One of my goals for this podcast is to bring free information about gardening to the general public. That being said, I'd like to thank the sponsors of today's episode who helped make that goal possible. Thanks to AC Infinity for sponsoring this episode. Check out their Ion Frame LED grow lights, which have the latest Samsung Evo LEDs. These grow lights include a schedule controller that features 10 brightness levels, dimming, and a sunrise-sunset feature. Click the link in the description section below so you can learn more about their Ion Frame LED grow lights. And the discount code MrGrowing15 works on both Amazon and their website, acinfinity.com. Stash Blend. Stash Blend consists of several ingredients in one, so you no longer have to buy individual bottles. It includes corn steep liquor, seaweed extract, humic acid, beneficial bacteria, silica, and mycorrhizal fungi. It can be used in addition to your synthetic-based nutrients or be used in living soil systems. Simply mix it into water and water your plants with it. You can get it at stashblend.com, link in the description section below, and use the discount code THESTASH. And
That sounds like the same type of acid pouring saying that I used to have when I pH my water. Shout out to Germ 10 Plant Food. I gotta hit up Corey and them. And y'all see him in the chat. Remember, I sent you. And if you buy anything, you can get a 5% discount, I believe, using TWP Popcorn at checkout. But you gotta go straight to his YouTube channel and talk to him to get the order through. Because you know how they are. Sales reps in the building. Whether he's here or not, we'll talk about that real quick. Hell, might get you some stuff growing on. Right. Right. What up to the Jay Jordan? Y'all know to go check him out daily. Appreciate bro for stopping through. We was talking about him a minute ago when we was talking about the Buy Me Coffee people. Because you know he one of my big homies. Then we got that big homie cooking with love and more in here too. Y'all know to go check out everybody in here. You got a wrench, go check him out. And if you ain't got a wrench, well, just know that the people that do got wrenches will probably come check you out. So don't worry about it. And if you want your link drop, just let me know in a minute. I might get to it. Hell, I might not. Somebody might drop before you though. I'm sitting here rolling up this blunt and need to hit play. Hit play.
We are back, and I'm joined with Mike from 420 Things. How you doing today?
I'm not doing so bad. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Today we're going to talk all about budget-friendly gardening ideas. So you like to do things on the cheap, you mentioned to me. So I'm like, well, this is a great episode. We actually have a lot of people who do things on the cheap, just like you. They really have a budget that they need to stay within with their gardening. So thought it'd be an awesome topic, and happy to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into gardening?
Sure. Thanks for having me first, because that's pretty cool. I'm excited to be here. Like I said, Mike, you got that. I live in Ontario, Canada. I grew up in Florida, though, so shout out to my 305 peeps. I have an amazing partner in crime, my wife, and 2 great kids, and I suffer from chronic back pain. That's really,
what up, Bronze?
Kids, that's where my cheapness started. I started, helping my back with this medicinal plant, and that was the Under Health Canada program. I was getting all my medicine from the licensed producers. And man, these government-approved areas where they were so expensive, I decided, get my moderate green thumbs from previous experiences into growing my own medicine. So, I mean, I did work on golf courses for many years. I did irrigation, I did mechanics. I was a assistant superintendent. So I really liked golf. And it's like growing plants. You'd have a start in the spring. You'd come out of a harsh winter. You'd have to baby the course back. Brown landscape, and then middle of summer, everything's vibrant, green, and such a lush plant area for the thing. So I really feel like this is where my love for growing came from. And working on golf courses, man, it's the same thing, budget based, right? Even on big golf courses, nice, expensive courses, they're always trying to cut your budget. They're always trying to get you to do it on the cheap. So, MacGyvering something and getting it to be that sort of still get the job done and do it on the cheap tip. That's where it came from.
Nice. And what would you say your overall grow style is? Do you typically grow indoors or outdoors, organic, synthetic, soil, cocoa, hydro? What's your style?
D, all the above. I feel like changing it up from time to time. It gets and it just leads to learning something new. So right now I grow both outdoors and indoors. And my wife, my partner in crime, she helps out so much, and she's great. Outdoors, I've done synthetics before, but I've got really bad water here, so I had to treat it, and I was really, using my indoor experience outdoors, and it really was expensive. So I've switched over, and now I'm doing organic outside. It's great. I do a Pro Mix, worm casting mix, Gaia Green, and man, the cost of that versus bottle nutrients, running RO water, storing it, pumping it, man, it was expensive. So and that's what every start of the year, I don't know about your area, but for me, I go to garden stores in the spring because they always have sales. I mean, I'm always potting and I got to buy my fertilizer then, right? So I get a big 20 kg bag of 444 and 284 at a spring sale, 20-30% off. It's like, man, I'm saving money again. And then it's so nice to just, top dress outside and just water every, couple of weeks or top dress a couple of weeks and water just regular old water out of the tap. It works good, right? So, but my indoor stuff, I'm using synthetic nutrients with RO, and right now for this today, I'm currently growing cocoa for the first time, and because like I said, mostly Pro Mix and worm castings, but it's I've got an automatic system. My back is pretty bad, so I got an automatic watering system. I'm using
that both from Floorflex, and they've got some pretty cool watering systems, and they're not bad. But again, you know what I did? I waited to 420. Every company's got April 20th has got a sale, 20-30% off extra, free shipping, blah blah blah. So that's the best time of year to if you're planning a grow and you want to do something, try to do it around 420. You know what I mean? You'll save a ton of money shipping and stuff like that. So they do like a water soluble fertilizer. So I guess it's very simple. It's not a bunch of bottles, so it's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, 420 sales, man. I do the same exact thing where I try to get as many as possible, but not just equipment, but genetics. And also Black Friday is another area where very deep discounts. I feel like Black Friday and 420 are the deepest discounts. That's where the companies really offer the most percentage off. So I'm just like you, I take advantage of that.
Yeah, you got to be cheap, man. You got to stock up. You got to be, and that's the best way, in my opinion.
Can we get deeper into your indoor equipment setup? Budget for the manner. So, like lighting, for example, do you go with budget lights, or are you kind of paying a little bit more for a certain amount of power or spectrum? Also, ventilation system. What are you doing for that? So on and so forth.
Yeah. First, when I first started, I got the 10 setup. I was kind of new to it, right? So I'm like, look at these cheapo, beepo, blurple lights. I'm going to get one of those off of Amazon, right? And because they were cheap, I was like, yeah, After growing with it, I shook my head a little bit and go, no, this is not the way to go. So I started looking at some quantum boards, and this is going back probably 4 years from today. So quantum boards were where it was at the time, and I found HLG, and an American company. But man, oh man, their lights. I was seeing great reviews. I was seeing a lot of people talking about it, but man, I wasn't able to spend that kind of money. I wasn't in the place to spend that money. And again, being cheap, I was like, no, I'm not going to happen. So I went out and I started looking for alternatives, and I found on Alibaba, King Bright. It was a Chinese company that shipped right from China, and it was like, I'm going to look into this, and I started Googling it and trying to look at videos, and I couldn't find any videos on YouTube. I go, listen, man, even if I'm doing a brake job on a car that I've never done it before, I go to YouTube. It's great. It's such a informative, gives you a little bit of info. Nothing on King Bright. So I go, you know what? Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and I'm going to, buy this light and do a review and do the process of, how to get this light, going through customs and doing it. So it really broke down to like three things, right? Like first and foremost, I wanted to help other people because there was no video, right? Then it was a cheaper alternative to like HLG, and third, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a YouTube channel. It's going to be small, and listen, I might only have 10 followers, 100 followers, whatever it is, but I you know what? This is a business opportunity. I can write this light off. So check another savings, right? So no matter how big or how small you are, starting a YouTube channel for me was one of my biggest cheapness moves that I've done in gardening. Why? Because I can, spend that money before I get taxed on it and do it. But listen, I'm not an expert on this. I hired a good accountant. I sat down with him. I paid him for an hour. So let me pick your brain for an hour. I paid him. Best money I've ever spent. He helped me out, gave me guidance, and that was great. So again,
so he said he went to a trained professional and got some help. Shout out to Noah, trained professionals and get help. That's what those consultations are for. Make sure y'all check them out on the Buy Me a Coffee. We got you for the consultation. It's like $30 an hour, but it'll be worth your time. Hey, that's what your monetization coach tells you. Spend some money to make some money. You did, but you don't spend money on the right things to get things coming back right. Check out the back rights. Anyways, let's go back to our other video sponsors because we got to pay our bills around here too. Right. This is other YouTube channel. DJ is Topic. Go check out the big homie over at First 4 Audio too. I see you in the building. What's going on, Lee? Y'all know getting a live performance. I mean, he does it live better than most, so y'all know give that performance, right? Shouts out to the big homie Lee. Appreciate that. It's funny, the two music homies came through when he was playing the beats, right? And he also has a Buy Me a Coffee, I believe, too. So y'all want to check out his Buy Me a Coffee. Shouts out to the big homie over there for doing this THIENG with the monetization everywhere. Videos supposed to be like, this nigga really go through every week and select which one he want to listen to. Show do. Keep the show with a positive vibe, right? Something like that. I don't know.
Which parent are you?
And come back to the shout out to our other video sponsors. Let's get back to this video.
Why? Because I can, spend that money before I get taxed on it. But listen, I'm not an expert on this. I hired a good accountant. I sat down with him. I paid him for an hour. So let me pick your brain for an hour. I paid him. Best money I've ever spent. He helped me out, gave me guidance, and that was great. So again, that was my start. And then going into other setups and other systems, I decided after the light, I'm like, you know what? I want to grow an RDWC. I see the internet. It's the growth rate is insane. I'm like, I want to try this. You know what turnkey pre-built systems are worth? Not budget friendly when I was looking at them. So I decided, I'm going to do it all myself. I'm going to do it DIY. I'll do it. I'll do another video, write it all off. And then I was able, to buy parts off of Amazon and locally. And with that mechanical background I had in irrigation, I was able to do all the piping and stuff. And again, being handy and like being able to DIY stuff is another like godsend to being cheap in the garden. If you can do stuff, it's great, right? So I mean, it just compared to the pre-built, I was like half or less than half the price. So it was like, man, when I talk to people and I'm talking to them on social media and I see they're putting out content, they're doing videos, I go, you writing this off? Are you got like Amazon links? Do you have like Amazon affiliate or associate marketing, whatever? Like it's free to sign up. I go, sign up, get some links, put them in your video, write all this stuff off, man, because that and again, this is Canada and every place is different, but hire that accountant, pay that money and help. It'll help offset gardening costs big time.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Going back to the Alibaba King Bright, I've actually went to your channel and sorted it by oldest videos. You've been doing YouTube videos now for 4 years, 124 videos. So that's crazy, man. Congrats on all that. There's a lot of hard work is kind of what I'm getting at. And that was a good idea for a video, over 15,000 views on that. Now, I've heard of some people having bad experiences with Alibaba. In particular, actually, this King Bright. But I'd like to know, is this still working today? Because I believe they only offer a 1-year warranty, where HLG, for example, I believe offers 3+ year warranty, if I'm not mistaken. Is that light still working good for you, or what?
That light has since been gone from the channel. So that's when I had it, it was great. It was a little bit of a setup and whatever, and I did it in that video because it was the instructions weren't that good, and and trying to deal with people in Alibaba, the time difference is usually like you're in day and they're night, so it's hard to deal with that. So 100% warranty would have been, if I would have ever had an issue, warranty would have been a problem, I would have assumed, just because of the dealings. But I sold it to a guy on Marketplace or whatever, and he never got back to me, so I'm assuming it worked for him. It had decent parts, and yeah, I used it for 4 grows probably, and I never had a problem with it.
That's awesome. You got some good usage out of there, and you were able to resell it, so you're able to get some money back from it. So that's awesome. Now, would you recommend any other equipment to get off of Alibaba, or just lighting?
So that is the only thing I've ever done. So I really only speak to what I know. And listen, the process was a bit weird. And this was at the time 4 years ago. Trump was in office in the United States. So there was like extra duties and extra like tariffs, and it was kind of weird. At the time, it was great. It was simple. I sent my deposit or my money via credit card, and I had tracking in a couple of days. I'd spend a little bit extra when I got to the door in like brokerage fees or whatever, but still, it was pretty cheap. So worth it. If you're on a budget and you don't have that money for that great best light with the best service and the best warranty, it's an option, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the other equipment, you can really find cheaper options on, Amazon or any other website. Sometimes going directly to the manufacturer's website is beneficial. The company's website is beneficial. It's a little bit cheaper than going through Amazon, where Amazon charges companies 10%, I think, per sale or something like that. But as far as ventilation, one thing I wanted to mention was you don't have to go and buy AC Infinity's automated ventilation that comes with a controller, which is over $100, right? You can get an intake fan for under $50, I believe. Now it's going to come with the variable speed controller, so you're not really going to have the nice options of going onto your phone and the app and controlling everything there, and things automatically coming on and off as needed. But if you're on a budget, you need to keep things cheap. You can certainly get a inline fan for under $50, 6-inch, 4-inch. You can find them for sure. So that's another option that I think I'd mention.
Yeah, no, that's what I started with. I just a basic 4-inch fan with like a speed dial, and you're right, it's cheap. But cheap is not always like. There's got to be a point where you go, is this worth it or is it not worth it? Because like you said, you're right. The AC Infinity is a little bit more expensive, but that control in the app, man, I could be laying in bed and I can be controlling my phone, right? I go, what did I miss up or what did I do? That's worth something. It is definitely worth a little bit extra money to have that, that interconnectivity. Yeah, some things you don't want to cheap on.
I completely agree. Yeah, it can be worth it to spend a little bit more for better. Now, what about genetics? Would you spend a little bit more for good genetics, or do you look for cheap genetics?
And genetics. Isn't that one of the most complex questions when it comes to gardening for us? Again, to me, I go, where do you start? Like, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I've done cheap genetics, like cheap, real cheap, you know what I mean? And then I've done super expensive genetics. Super expensive genetics. And you know what? Not always do you spend more, do you get more, or does it equal, more money, better genetics? But listen, let's be honest, great genetics are not going to be super cheap. So where do you draw that line and balance between quality genetics, like a brand that's putting in the work to make them good, getting to like that F3 or, doing the work and behind it. And then hey, well, listen, this is their third version of this. Like, it's got to be better. You know what I mean? They're putting in the time. And, and or companies that offer some sort of, whether it's a guarantee or a warranty. And again, you can spend a little bit less or a little bit more and get that warranty. And then you get that ease of use where you can, pop a 10-pack, hunt through it, try to find that unicorn where you're going to go, oh, this is the holy grail, man. I got to reverse this, or I took clones. And then, still fall back on some coverage for like that warranty. I guess that's a bad word, but again, so backing up there of this, and you can recoup some of your losses, and then it's kind of like a win-win. You didn't lose out, you didn't spend a lot. So that genetics, man, it's a tough one.
I feel like this is another area where you can Target Black Friday and 420. Deep discounts. I had the Chill Out OG. I think it was 40% off or 50% off for Black Friday. Same thing for 420. And there's so many breeders out there, quality breeders that are giving deep discounts. So I would recommend people look during sale times is really to pick them up, right? Not really off season when things aren't discounted.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't know if you guys have anything like Canadian Tire, but in Canada, it's a place called Canadian Tire, and it's like it's got it's got everything. But if you buy something from Canadian Tire and it's not on sale, you've messed up, right? So you're right. Being on sale, being that frugal shopper, is going to save you so much money year to year. It's ridiculous. So you're right. All those sales.
And then you also kind of mentioned it directly relates to genetics is cloning, right? So sure, you're going to buy seeds to begin, but you don't have to buy seeds ever again if you don't want to. You can just clone. So another great way to save money.
Yeah, for sure. And again, but it's trying to find that one that, like, I know for me anyways, I had one, and this was when I first started growing that 4 years ago under that King Bright, and I found a cultivar that was great. It was perfect. It helped my back. It was amazing, and I didn't clone it. So I lost out, and it's like I've been chasing that strain. I've bought 4 different 10-packs of the same strain, and I've tried to get it, and of course, well, everybody knows it's growing plants. One seed to another, you're going to find something different, and it's like, you're right. Once you get it, and you've got that thing, cloning it, and maybe spending a little bit extra money on a second tent for a mother tent. Like me, I have 3 tents now. A 2x2 for mothers, a 5x5 for my main grow, and a 2x4 for vegging and mothers too, right? So that helps you keep that genetic alive and live and strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have a cultivar that I had a beautiful plant of, and I didn't clone it. And so much regret, I don't wish that upon anybody. It's like, and I bought multiple packs trying to find it just like you and didn't find it. So I'm now like monster cropping. If I really find something special, I'll monster crop it, right? So cloning it in flower, bringing it back to the veg stage, I'll definitely do that because I don't want to miss out. I don't want to lose genetics anymore.
Yeah, and that's never again is that ever going to happen to me while I'm hunting. That extra tent can save you heartache. I guess is what it is.
100%. Let's get into some of the processes and kind of want to know how you do things. And then as we're going along and you're explaining things, maybe you can mention how you're keeping it cheap going through those processes. So let's start with germinating and planting seeds. Kind of walk us through your process there.
Yeah, so I'm pretty old school on this. Now, the only problem with my place is I'm in a basement, and I'm in Canada, and during the winter it's cold in the basement. During summer, I don't like the heat, so it's cold in my basement, so I'm always battling cold. So the cheapest way I found to do this is just get a bunch of seeds, put them in the solo cups, put them on a heating mat, put them in a dome, and control that in a very small area, not in the big tent where I'm spending extra money on lights and extra money on this and extra money on that. Small based, a clone dome that's maybe that can fit 10 solo cups, and then I just go right into the soil, and I just barely below the top. I don't go very deep. I've had problems going deep before, so I pretty much go. Barely on just enough soil to cover it, right? And then and then just water very slow.
Commercial, go back to my videos and see how I start seeds. Because I don't even do it. I got the little tray. I put the hydrogen pebbles in, fill it up with some water, throw the seeds right there in, and then they pop up. Because guess what? They don't do what they do. Just like in nature. If you throw the seeds with some water and some light, and you even go trap it. You go trap it. Yeah, let's go pay some more commercials. Some more commercials. Pay these bills, right? Shout out to the sponsors of them. We keep heavy.
Which parent are you? In the bustling city of Seville, a group of extraordinary individuals has emerged, known far and wide as the Superfood Parents. They are on a mission to transform their families' lives through the power of nutrition, one delicious bite at a time. Meet Chef Lakita Marie, the culinary mastermind behind the Superfood Parents Playbook. With boundless enthusiasm, she welcomes you to embark on a thrilling journey to becoming a true superfood hero. But what exactly does that mean? In Nutriville, superfood parents are everyday heroes. These superfood parents lead the charge for better health, but not with cakes. They lead with carrots and whole food fats like avocados. And instead of masks, they feed with mangoes and berries. Fruits and vegetables are the disease-destroying arsenal of heroes. Are you a disease-destroying superhero for your loved ones? Fruits and veggies fuel the mission of heroes like Veggie Vixen. Are you a Veggie Vixen for your loved ones? Dedicated to ensuring their loved ones thrive on a diet rich in fats, fruits, and vegetables. Here's your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to guide your family to superhero status by reaching the highest levels of health and wellness daily. Become a plant-powered titan, a superfood avenger, or even a Fates Crusader by earning 5 points for every fruit and vegetable eaten. It's a fun-filled quest for nutrition and excitement. All of the digital details are at superfoodparents.com for the full experience. Superfood Parents has also created workbooks where you discover the tools for success. These workbooks give you the remote strategies to craft your grocery list like a seasoned hero, which means you now have a playbook to keep track of meals like a true champion. And engage in mind-making nutritional education with word searches that will keep your family entertained and informed. So, are you ready to join the ranks of the superfood parents? Are you prepared to unleash the power of faith and make every meal a heroic endeavor? If so, flip the page of the Superfood Playbook. Let's begin the journey to becoming the ultimate superfood hero.
To become a sponsor, just visit superfoodparents.com.
Yeah. So like,
What do you say?
Into the soil, and I just barely below the top. I don't go very deep. I've had problems going deep before, so I pretty much go. I mean, barely, just enough soil to cover it, right? And then and then just water very slow and use it because again, I'm always looking at overwatering, right? So it's cheap in the fact that I have solo cups all the time. So I mean, I get that it's probably not environmentally sound, but again, I Costco, man, I got 400 cups in my pantry upstairs, right? So it's one of those things that it's always there. So I do that. So again, it's is there a cheaper way? Maybe do some smaller stuff, but again, solo cups, that stuff. That's sort of in the germinating stage. For once it goes to seedling, I really that key for me is that not overwatering. So I have a bunch of stuff from Amazon. These little 60 ml syringes that I find are handy. I use those. You can get a bunch of them for like $10 or something like that. Amazon for sure. Like I said, Amazon and Amazon associate links for somebody who's starting out. There's so many things you can use on Amazon that are key. So just keeping that soil moist, in that sort of like 1.5-inch circle around where I put the seed in, and just water it daily. So it's labor intensive. It's not. I'm not automating at this point. I'm just doing it. I want to be in there. I want to be touching it. I want to be loving it all. Right then in that part. Right. So.
Yeah, solo cups, reusing solo cups. That's a big one, right? How to save money. Should be buying solo cups over and over and over again. I've been using the same ones for I don't even know how many years. Plastic bags over the cups instead of domes. Instead of going out and buying a dome, I usually just use plastic bags. Make that little microclimate in there to begin until it sprouts from the medium. I've reused the same bags for a year. I think I've been reusing the same bags for 8 years now. Reusing soil too, that's another thing where you can save money, is if you're able to actually reuse the soil over and over again. I spent so many years buying bags of soil and using synthetic nutrients and thinking that I wasn't able to reuse it. Now a lot of people are just going to throw that out in their backyard and they say, oh, that's reusing it, right? It's still being used for plants that are outdoors. Okay, but you can also reuse soil indoors. Now, a lot of people do it with organics. You don't need to flush or anything like that. You just continue to amend, and you get soil tests, and then amend according to the soil test, and then reuse that soil over and over again. I have the same soil that I've been using for 6 grows now, so it's definitely possible. A lot of people do it. And if they're using synthetic nutrients, a lot of folks just flush that soil. They'll run water through it, try to get to a clean slate where there's really a bit, I wouldn't say inert entirely, but it's kind of drained of most of the nutrition, and then they kind of reuse it from there. And I've had mixed results using that, doing that method, but a lot of people do it with success there, so I figured I'd mention that.
Yeah, and so I was reusing my soil. I've got a bin, like you said, I've got solo cups. I reuse them, I wash them, I clean them. I have a bin full of stuff with my worm castings, like one of those like Costco bins or whatever. It's like, 2.5 feet wide. But I have a garden outside, and me and my wife, we do a lot of gardening outside. We like to do jalapenos and peppers and lettuce and cucumbers. Cucumbers are the greatest. So yeah, that's where all my soil goes out there, and get a little of the peat in there and all that stuff in there. It's great for that. So you're right, it's reusing it. But no, you definitely can reuse it. I'm a big, yeah, for sure. But I found, and listen, I know you're very organic, and I'm not very organic. I had an organic grow that I was like, when I did it outside and the taste that came from it, I'm like, I got to, like, even my peppers. I put my peppers in organic. They're hotter, they're sweeter, they're tastier. I'm like, I got to do this indoors. And man, I went to indoors and I had nothing but fungus gnats and fungus gnats. Fungus gnats. I hate those little things. And I've gone away from organics inside. I wish I could do it better, and I wish maybe I should do a little bit more reading into it. But the synthetic, man, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, you said I'm very organic. I disagree with you. I know I've got a book out on it and stuff like that, but I still do have synthetic grounds. And I'm Synganic too. That's a lot of people grow Synganically, right? Using both synthetic and organic inputs, which I feel like is kind of an underrated way to go about it,
Yeah, no, you're right. You can supplement. That's what I found outside when I wasn't top dressing enough. I was like, ooh, these plants are hurting. Little shot of food, and boom, it perked right up real quick.
Yeah, you could definitely get away with that for sure. Now, how about like environment conditions? Obviously, outdoors, you don't really have control of the temperature, humidity, CO2, all that stuff. But indoors, when you're growing indoors, what do you typically aim for temperature, relative humidity, and CO2?
So this is a good question. So for me, I try. Listen, you're right. I can't do anything outdoors, but outdoors, I do have like a little, again, cheapo beepo. Not cheap, because if I were to try to build a greenhouse, it would be super expensive. So I got one of these greenhouses in a boxes, like a Shelter Logic from Home Depot. Great little thing. I put it up. And here it's always like I'm on the East Coast, sort of mid East Coast. I don't even know. It's super hot and humid is what it boils down to. And I'm always on the lookout for that white powdery mildew, right? Like, and this is where that genetics, can really play a role in it too. And so this year I ran some plants out last year from seed, 4 seeds, and 3 of them perfect, nice, not a single. And then the 4th one, white powdery mildew from head to toe instantly. Like, it was so bad. So guess what? That one, we just cut it down, got rid of it, because I don't want to mess with that. And those 3, guess what? I cloned them. Now they're outside. I'm hoping not so much white powdery mildew, right? But I then what I do in my greenhouse is I've got power out there, so I defoliate like crazy and have like just cheap Walmart oscillating fans, $18, like cheap, like Canada. I don't know what they are in the States, but like just cheap ones. Put them right beside the plant, blowing right on them. It keeps the air moving, and that seems to be pretty nice. So again, defoliating is great to help that outside, but inside, I started on the cheap route, and I really wasn't. Like I said, I had that fan with the knob, and it just, I couldn't get to where I needed it to be. I wanted it to be a nice temperature, just under 27 C. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I couldn't tell you. But anyways, I try to keep it, with that, and with that fan, it was either too cold, or I
Cincinnati
adjusted, it was
don't know
too
them
hot.
freedom fighters.
So that's when I found AC Infinity, and man, their controllers, while not cheap,
73 for
worth
those who
every
know.
nickel in my opinion, because it makes it so much easier, like and the control. So I've got everything dialed in to my proper temps, my proper humidity. I get that VPD in a nice good zone for all my different areas, and I bump up the humidity, and I do the app is so, I don't even know how to use the controller anymore. I used to know how to use the controller before the app came out. Now it's just the app, man. It's like I said, from bed, from the couch, from anything. It is. So again, just a little bit more upfront on that unit can help not get mildew, not get mold, which again, to me, that's saving money. If I'm not throwing like that one outside, I had to throw it out. I put all that money into Gaia Green. I put all the effort into the soil, the bags, everything. So to spend a little bit up front, which is worth the pennies and the nickels, it'll save you on the end on loss. So again, yeah, and now I just started. We're talking about environment. I just started CO2. Very new to it, and I just started cocoa too. I was telling you I was doing cocoa, so I'm doing cocoa and CO2 in a sealed tent, and I'm doing it in very small solo cups for this solo cup grow that I'm doing, which is kind of a silly thing, but it's kind of fun. It's new. It's outside of my comfort zone. But the CO2, man, it's kind of neat to deal with. So dialing that in, it's a little bit hotter than I'm normally, and this one I'm doing in Fahrenheit because all the stuff I'm reading is in Fahrenheit. So I'm at about 85, 86, and I'm in veg right now, and about 75 to 80 relative humidity, and that has my VPD just under 1. I think it's at like 0.9 or 0.8 or something like that. And man, it's insane, the growth. I can't believe how much it is. So it's probably rivaling the RDWC when I did that. It's so fast. But because I've never done CO2 before, CO2 is expensive. I get to rent a tank and fill it up. But if I can get my plant to grow twice as fast in the veg stage, I'm really interested during flowering and see how this is going to turn out, because if I can spend that little bit up front on the CO2, but the end result is I have more medicine, well, then I'm saving money in theory. I have to do that calculation. Jury's out on that one, but it's again trying that new thing. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, do the math, figure out, okay, you're spending this much in CO2, you're getting this much more yield. Well, that much more yield would be this in the dispensary. So, yeah, I can imagine that it would be beneficial from a cost standpoint to run the CO2 and get the increased yield. Let's move on to the veg stage. So, plant training is done in the veg stage. Watering, feeding. Talk us through those processes, how you go about doing them.
Sure. Yeah, so to me, training, so fun, so rewarding. Like me, I'm in a 5x5. I wish I had more space, but I only have a 5x5, so I really have to optimize it for that tent. And training is how I do that, to optimize, every square inch of the tent. Try to get every square inch of the tent. That doesn't always happen. But I used to use plant tie downs and like paper clips or like clothespins. My wife was always giving me crap because she'd never have clothespins. And just attach it to the pot and like pull it down, tie it, and like twist tie kind of plant things. But now I've gone away from that. I'm 100% bud clips from Bud Trainer. They're clips, man. They're the perfect angle in my opinion. They're not aggressive. They're aggressive enough, but man, their attack on the angle is great. So then it's like self-contained too, right? So I was always a problem with the plant ties. I got big old man hands here. My hands are big, right? So to try to get in there and mess with the plants and defoliate and stuff, I was hitting the plant ties, breaking the plant, losing out on that. So, and these are all reusable. You can throw them in the dishwasher, clean them, and again, even when I was watering, it get whatever. So for in this veg stage, I use that on my outdoor plants, my indoor plants, and just make it a work of art, really, and get it, get it to where it's so. And then watering and feeding inside in veg. I like I said, I use that. I have a matrix system from Thorflex, and again, back savings. That's saving time and money, sure. Saving my back, another one of my high priorities. And this thing, I've got it on a table. I've got it on a flood table, like an ebb and flow table, but I don't have anything cut out. And I just put my plants in there. It's got a manifold that can go up to 8, 10 plants. I've done 2 heads. I've done it, whatever. And I can water it, and it's great. It just runs off into the table, shop vac. I don't have to pump it and drain it. And I just, again, to me, that was the cheapest way to do it. And to not have to bend over. So that's great. And that's that sort of, it just keeps the watering so much easier.
Yeah, when it comes to training, I started using those Bud Trainer clips. They've been working out really good so far for me. Although they are a little bit pricey in my opinion. I think I ended up buying a 20-pack for $20 or something like that. So I used to go the cheap route there as well, just with like ties, garden ties. You could buy them for like $2 or $3 at your local Home Depot or Lowe's in the gardening section. And then using those ties and bringing the branches down and either piercing your fabric pot with like safety pins, for example. Some people use paper clips. Binder clips is what I use very often, actually. Clothespins, I've used those in the past as well. Those are a little bit more, let's say, finicky, but I don't really hold on to the pot as much using those in the garden ties. But yeah, anything kind of lying around the house, that's a good way to save money, is using those things when you're doing the plant training. Now, as far as watering, actually getting a little bit deeper into water, you mentioned use RO water. I do too. Now, there's a little bit of misconception about RO water, that people think that it's thousands of dollars to get a home unit system. That's actually not the case. I've got one that is, I believe it's $200 I paid for it on Amazon, and it's a 1-to-1 instead of a 1-to-3. And what do I mean by that? I mean, for every 1 gallon of water, some systems will waste 3 gallons of water. But my 1-to-1 system, 1 gallon of water will waste 1 gallon of water. Now, you can also take that waste line from your RO system, put it into a bucket, for example, 5-gallon bucket, and use that on your outdoor plants. That's what I do. Some people use that water. They put it into their toilet, for example. They save money there using that wastewater. But again, ways to keep things cheap. Filtered water. I can't use my tap water, unfortunately, but a lot of people do use their tap water. They're able to. Well water. But if you do go that route, I want to get it tested first to make sure that it is going to be usable for your medicinal plants, for example, because we all know now that if there's an imbalance of nutrients in the medium, some nutrients can lock out others, prevent uptake from happening, and it could just be a rough battle trying to get through a grow because you've got what you think is the deficiency, but it actually could be an excess, or vice versa. And so I figured I'd mention those things about water.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen, my ppms coming out of my well have hard water. It's like 550 ppm. Like, I have no choice but to RO it. And you're right. Yeah, no, RO is not like when you look at 500. Like, if I was to start with 500 and add nutrients, I'm going to kill the plant, right? So yeah, it isn't that bad. And getting back to the cheap, I know you were talking about the Bud Trainer ones. I bought some of the ones off of Amazon. That's how I started. Went away from the ties. There was so many different people, whether they were 3D printing them or whether there were so many different sort of angles and whatever. I felt some of the cheaper ones that didn't have, like, I don't know what bunch, I don't know how they came up with their method of their bend, because a lot of the other ones, the cheap ones, they either cut into the plant after, only a very short period of time, and it or it was too much of a bend. So I found that those, again, but you have 20 clips. I don't need to buy any more clips like that. Those ones are going to be around for a long, long time.
I find myself putting them on and taking them off pretty quickly versus the ties. I would tie them down on the side of the grow pod. They would stay on the plant for a while. The clips, you could slide them on, and then literally within like a week or so, I'm sliding it off at that point. The branch is staying as the angle that it was bent down to with the clip. So, yeah, but 20 might be enough. I think I want to get a...
Which... She's coming up. But first...
Yeah, so like
Fox Farms though, like I noticed, like so if you're going to plant some Fox Farms Ocean Forest, you're saying, you plant a plant in there and you veg it out for like 2 months, and you get that plant monstrous, and you're ready to flip it into flower. Now you have to add amendments to there because there's nothing left in it.
Back up just a little bit. When you say you planted it for a couple months and it took off monstrous, do you know what's in that makes that plant grow?
Synthetic salts.
It's pretty much what it is, but it's ammonium nitrate. So they spray this ammonium nitrate on sawdust, and that ammonium nitrate is like acid on a fucking slug. Think of the organic and biology that's in there. It's killing. They put that on there. You can throw a pile of that. It's called nitralized sawdust, what the industry calls it, as an amendment to mix it, and that's what they buy. Roots Organic, a bunch of them do that as an amendment, and that's their nitrogen pack. And then they tell you they put a bunch of guano and they do other stuff. They don't put shit on it. That's what it is, and that's the reason the difference between a good quality soil and them. And you just explained it as it shot up and it roots and veg, and it did really well. But the thing it's missing is that now, like if you do in my soil or some good soil, it's not my soil, but the difference between mine, you're asking, and Fox Farm and all the case studies, Fox Farm with ammonium nitrate in the soil, that plant will shoot up really quick. It grows quick, and it's a tomato plant. We call it tomato, but same thing with tomato and cultivar, is it shoots up really quick and it puts off a few tomatoes, and the wind comes and that plant has no structure, it falls over, and it's lanky, right? My soil versus the same tomato plant, you got a fucking heavy stock, you got this plant that just fucking sits up and does its thing, and it's putting up tomatoes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the difference, and why does mine do that? Because I have a living soil concept behind it. I want you to grow with bacteria, I want you to grow with fungi, I want you to do everything that's healthy in that plant. The last thing you want to do is feed ammonium nitrate to the tomatoes to your kids at the dinner table. Once you know, you know.
So this is day 3 of the KOV challenge. So one of the things that we're supposed to do is ask a question, and one of the questions I'm interested in is, what do you think about my channel? When I started this channel, I started it, well, for me, I'm a type A personality and I needed to relax. I have some disabilities that are related to stress. And it seems like people like them and watch them. But you guys tell me what you think. Bye.
Give it gas.
Let's finish this video before we get ready for our extra video, right?
Versus the ties, I would time down outside the grow pod and stay on the plant for a while. The clips, you could slide them on, and then literally within like a week or so, I'm sliding it off. At that point, it's staying, the branch is staying as the angle that it was bent down to with the clip. So, yeah, like 20 might be enough. I think I want to get a couple more packs actually, just because I grow a lot of plants here. But yeah, you can certainly get away with, if you're just growing a small number of plants, just one pack. So might be worth it to invest in that brand name one, which is higher quality versus the cheapo ones. I've seen the cheapo ones on Amazon, and they can get pretty cheap, but a lot of people having problems with them breaking as well. So
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you take it off a week, use it on the same plant up higher, or keep, and again, it's good stuff.
now, how about the flower stage? Is there anything in the flower stage that you can think of that you do that is a little bit on the cheaper side versus kind of spending more money towards doing things in flower?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I do is I do use trellis nets for training, and I started with the cheap ones, the plastic ones, and they were I was throwing them out, and I go, this is wasteful. I keep having to buy them. To me, that's not saving money because I have to spend money on them all the time. So I went with a reusable, washable trellis net, and now that's how I use to keep my main colas separated and not overlapping each other. And I have two of them. I have one right on before the flip that I do because we're going to see that stretch. I put that one down, and I try to, as it's stretching, I try to manipulate the colas into each one of the little squares, and then that goes up, and then the second trellis net I put up, and that's pretty much just for weight and stuff like that. But keeping those colas separated saves headaches at the end and throwing it out, because I had some that were overlapping and touching each other, and man, at the start of my growing, that was like ooh, and then sure enough, I had some moisture in there, and it wasn't good, and it was all bad. So again, flowering stage, that was my biggest thing, and then dehumidifying the air, right, like keeping it super dry, also a must. I mean, that environment control is a must. And again, a nice cheap dehumidifier from Canadian Tire or Home Depot, the cheapest one you can get on sale, of course. Like again, that environmental control is stable. And again, to keep it cheap, I try to man, it's so like a balance between so many colas in that 5x5 area versus that. Sometimes I cut down main chutes and just open it up just to have that area where it's going to be nice and airy and nice and dry. I hate throwing stuff out. It makes me sad every time. So, and costs, like I just wasted all that money and effort, right, and soil and stuff. So keeping it cheap while keeping it clean and keeping it, that's to me the best.
You mentioned dehumidifier, and I'm the opposite. I'm always running a humidifier because it's so dry here. And there are DIY humidifiers. Just search on YouTube, DIY humidifier. You should find a result there. And there's one in particular that I know of that uses that tub that you mentioned that you use for like soil and stuff, the 2.5 foot long tub by, what is it, like 1.5 feet or something like that maybe. And somebody's making a humidifier out of that. So if you want to keep things cheap and not go and buy a humidifier, you could certainly build your own, and that could potentially be a cheaper option. So you might want to look into that one.
Yeah, and then another thing too, I struggle sometimes depending on what equipment I'm running. I run a reservoir for water, and freaking water chillers are not cheap. They are stupid expensive. So what I found and what I did was a swamp cooler for that. And what all that really is, a swamp cooler, is a fan, really. It's blowing on the reservoir. And I couldn't believe, just by putting a fan, another little 5 or 6 inch fan from Home Depot, I used a little ratchet, and I hung it right above my reservoir, blew it on the water, dropped the temperature considerably. It did evaporate some of the water, so I had to keep checking the EC and stuff like that. But it helped keep the water cool. So a swamp cooler, if you're looking for something to help keep your reservoir a little cool on the cheap.
Reservoir, there's another area where you can make things cheap, right? I was gifted one by Flexi Tank, and I pulled it up right here, and these things are expensive. I memean, $50+ for a reservoir. I keep it cheap by using a trash barrel. I go to Home Depot, I bought a 14-gallon trash barrel, drilled a hole in the side, and then put the, I forget what it's called, the piece that kind of screws in there, and you can run a hose from there. Yeah, $10-15 for that. Or even a 5-gallon bucket. I have a 5-gallon bucket that's a reservoir that I use for some plants. And those are, $3, I think, roughly at Home Depot or Lowe's. Might be able to even find them even cheaper. But yeah, I would never pay money to buy one of those expensive reservoirs unless I was in like a larger setup, but me being a small home grower, I would just cheap out and use trash barrels and drill a hole in the side.
Yeah, I have a 32-gallon Rubbermaid garbage can, and it has wheels. It's great. A handle, wheels, I can move it around. I never even thought of that as part of it because you're right. Those reservoirs are thick-walled, heavy-duty. They're expensive. You're right. So yeah, no garbage can for sure. And wheels too. Why not? Make it easy.
100%. How about harvest, drying, and curing? Those are processes that need to be done after the plant is done growing. You've harvested it, and then you need to move on to dry and cure. What ways do you kind of keep it cheap with those processes?
Yeah. So listen, if I was, listen, I once helped a friend. This was many years ago. He did an outdoor grow, and he had 11 pounds of medicine to trim, and he was like, "We're gonna hand trim." I go, "Are you crazy? Oh, that's a lot." I said, "I'll help you," but I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna take shifts, and I gotta take breaks, and hand trimming is by far the cheapest way." But with a bad back, hand trimming is not always a thing. So what I did, I waited, obviously, to 420, and I got a sale on, many websites sell them, but here in town at many of the local, grow shops, they had trimming machines. They were either crazy expensive tumbler, cool thing, like these barrels that would turn, and then they had some of these tabletop ones, and they had ones that were like the bowl trimmer, that you hand crank that's got fingers and it does it, but they're automated. And I was looking at those and I go, man, this sure would save my back. I go, whoa, $1,400 for a tabletop trimmer? I go, no way. So I went home, I started Googling, and I found a brand that was it was a Chinese brand that was not, like, it had no name of the company. It was just this trimmer, and it was $200 and some on sale at 420. So I'm like, I got to do this, and that's what I started doing just to save the back, because I can't hand trim, just not possible. So I bought these, but now listen, these things are very poor quality at this very bargain price, but being handy. It was like thin tin metal for the legs, and sure enough, the welds broke on the 6 hours in or whatever. So it was like, man. But got a piece of metal, put it in there, redid it, and it still works to this day. I got to pick it up and put it on these little shit. But that handiness came in handy. So, and then again, what are you going to do when it's that cheap? I got both trimmers. I call them stage 1 and stage 2. First one is a tabletop with it's just fins, and you just run it over and take all the big fan leaves off. And then that sort of automatic bowl 8-inch or 10-inch tumble weaver. I don't even know what to call it. It's not a tumbler, because those ones are like the barrel tumblers, and they're super expensive. But I got them both for under the same price as locally of a brand name sort of trimmer. So that not off brand sometimes is there, but you're going to have to deal with the quality. So I did that, and listen, that was the best deal that I did for that, because hand trimming wasn't possible. Now I get into, then drying. Well, drying, I got these. I don't have space. So when you don't have space, you got to do what you got to do. So you get those accordion herb dryers off of Amazon is what they call them, and they're just 10 inches wide. They go down into a small thing. That was the cheapest way I could store it and still not have half my basement full of the plants from the thing, right? So I did that, and then curing again into reusable jars that I have, and sometimes we use it for peppers and stuff in the summer from our garden, and I would reuse those mason jars. But he's like, it's gonna taste like peppers. No, it didn't. We cleaned it out. It was fine. And again, just reuse the stuff that I have. But recently, I've switched my thinking on this. So this is where people are gonna be on the fence whether this is indeed cheap or not. And I can tell you, to start off, it wasn't cheap. So I got into live rosin as my best way to consume my medicine. Why? It's the cleanest, the tastiest, it's whatever. But to buy that from one of the Ontario stores here, and man, it was anywhere from $60 to $80 for one little small, gram of this stuff. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do the process myself. So I invested some money into a freeze dryer, and this by far is not cheap. It's about $4,000. How can you say this is cheap? Well, I then talked to my wife. I had to talk her into letting me buy it first. She then didn't kick me out of the house because that was her first idea. Second idea was, we're going to start and I say her because it was not we, a freeze-dried candy business. And I bought the freeze dryer. It went to her business. She now is going to write off that freeze dryer and she has been selling freeze-dried candies and making a ton of money. Now, it's worth its effort, it's whatever, but that subsidized the cost of getting the freeze dryer so that I can use it for my medicine and still be able to get it in there. So again, right off of the machine, great. Could have written off the machine as a process of doing content here on the 420 Things channel, but I couldn't have started any sort of business with it here in Canada. So the candy business, man, it's multi-purpose, right? You get something for one thing and use it for two others, and you're saving money. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit, but man, at $60 to $80 per unit, I'm going to save money in the long run because I go through it quite fast. So guess what? $80, every couple times, it adds up. So at the first year of her business in the freeze dryer, she looks like she's going to be able to make some money off of it. Whether we get into the red or green, who knows? But it's more than what we had. So again, it is that process. But washing it with the ice and the water, it's clean. I know what I'm getting. So that's worth a little bit extra to me. So again, while it's not cheap, it sort of is, because now it's paying for itself with the candy.
Yeah, I've been watching your stories on Instagram showing your updates on the freeze-dried candy and that you went to your local farmer's market or whatever and selling them and stuff. And it's been really cool to kind of follow along and see, the progress you've been making there and seeing how you used it multi-purpose, use it not just for freeze-drying your own product, but using it for candies as well and selling it. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, man, it is. And we got into a couple stores now, and we had to get health inspected and all that stuff, right? So it's not like there is some process. I had to pay for insurance, and so there was extra cost on top of it where I go, it's a little bit more. But again, my wife is going out meeting people and talking to people, and again, getting out in the community, man, it is fun. And again, candy is my kids love it, and we can use fruit, vegetables, I'm gonna so we have probably 3 rows of jalapenos. We love jalapenos here, so we always pickle them at the end of the year. Freeze dryer now. I'm not only gonna pickle. I'm gonna try to freeze dried jalapenos because apparently they come out once you freeze dry them, bring them back out, rehydrate them. They're just like new, right off of the stalk. So again, I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. Another thing I didn't know that. So yeah, again,
That's really cool. Getting back to Harvest Dry and Cure, one thing I want to mention is if you are looking to save money, keep things cheap, don't buy a Canatrol. Now, I have one of those that's super convenient. It does automate things when it comes to the drying and storage, but they're very expensive. You can certainly get away with the drying process just using a tent, for example, or an open room. Some people use an open room, a bathroom, although I don't know, there's germs floating around in the bathroom. I should be using the bathroom as you're drying in there, but that might be a concern for some people. But you could certainly just use a DIY, I guess you could call it, right? Little grow tent setup to where you've got a grow tent, you've got your humidifier, dehumidifier, whatever you need, and some air circulation, and that's it. You don't need to spend $1,600 on a Canatrol. Now, I have a unit myself. I actually have 2 units now because I do like it and use it, but if I were trying to keep things cheap, I would not have one of those. I would not buy one of those. So, and then for curing glass jars, you mentioned it. It's reuse them over and over again. Well worth the investment because it keeps things fresh. Some people are kind of split when it comes to having humidity packs in there or not, but you could certainly store things for longer if you have those glass mason jars and you're reusing them as well. So.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if you ever used those bags that they came out not that long ago, but I think they're
the Grove bags.
Grove bags. Yeah. I've reused those a few times, like it's the same bag over. I didn't find it was as better. Like it didn't. It seemed my medicine wasn't as good after the second or third time, and I'm like, oh, if I'm gonna buy these, I went back to the jars when I was doing that, right? So, but. I don't know. Did you ever try them? Ever tried reusing them?
Yeah, I've tried them. They seem to work pretty good, but still like the jars, really just to get things in and out of the, opening of the bags. Is just, I know it's not much of a difference in removing product from a bag versus a jar, but like it just feels more sturdy and things aren't kind of compacting against the buds as much. And yeah, so I haven't been using the grow bags anymore, but I have used them in the past.
Yeah, no, I just, you're right. Kind of glass jars, if you're curing, that's, whether they're big mason jars too, like you can get some, I didn't, when I first did it, I had all these little small mason jars, not small, but I mean, but there's some big old mason jars that you can get some big ones at different places. It seems like the time of year too to get them would be when they're on sale, like right before like a jarring season, right? Like at Home Depot or Canadian Tire or whatever these places, they'll sell.
Absolutely. Man, what a conversation. This was so good. And time flew by for this one, for me at least. It's I can't believe we're already at the hour mark, so that's wild. Let's wrap things up here, though. Can you tell the listeners how they can find you and what you have upcoming in the future?
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned YouTube earlier, youtube.com/420things. That's my channel. I did have more videos on there. You know how YouTube is. I got to a point where I had too many videos that were age restricted, and I had a bigger I had more videos of those, so I had to cut back on that. I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram doing that there, so I'm on Instagram. It's 420 Things Grow because somebody else already had 420 Things. So 420 Things Grow. And I plan on going to a couple shows and events coming months here. So I'm going to, in September, the Stony Streamer Session, Michigan. I'm going to go check that out, meet up with Rob and a couple other guys. I'm going to NECAN in Syracuse in October, and then heading back to your neck of the woods in Las Vegas in December for some MJ BizCon. So I'll be in and about. And I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I think probably why it went by so fast here, I don't know for you. I love getting to know people, getting to talk to people. I can talk to somebody in the elevator that I don't even like. Who are you? They look at me all funny, but I'll have a conversation with them, right? So if you're at any of these events coming up and you see me, come on up, say hello. Like let's shoot shit, have a good time.
Awesome. I'll definitely have a link to Mike's channel down in the YouTube description section below. And if you listen on one of the podcast platforms.
Shout out to Mr. Rowan. Good thing about being on the laptop right now. We actually got that in this channel, right? Boom. Check him out, right? Oh, look, I already said I'm already subscribed. Imagine that, right? Hey, I never set them those for all. Make sure we get all notifications.
I got you.
Trying to get some easy for again. I know a guy right now. If you go to the website from the 24th to the 27th, site wide 10% off Black Friday deals. Then if you use my coupon code 420 Things Grow, another discount right on top of that. And then if you're in the US, you spend $100. You're gonna get free shipping. See how much money you gonna save you some bling. Listen, you ain't gonna get one of these on the website. It's a prototype. Don't bother looking. Here we are.
So, yeah, that's what's up. Anyways, let's see. Back to our exit video. Then we're out of here, right?
Give it gas when I'm dipping competition, getting past, living fast, furious, staying on track, never worry when I'm spinning. Last better get it back, ride for my dog, alphabeted on us, you gon' get it back, never split this pack. Whenever I witness this cap. We ain't fucking with your fiction, facts, your conviction lacks. When I get up in my bag, I'ma spend, we ain't tripping off tats, clipping this tag, working on my wish list, cooking this cake. Let me flip this stack, you a flash in the pan, while you relax in the can, but deep in the pack, the sedan, putting tracks in the sand, pushing my craft at the fan, got the people all clapping their hands, putting cash in my brand, keeping my octane high, my grade and premium, not 8-9 or 8-7, and when I run across state line, I'm 9-1, I gun it, clock break time, my time come, disappearing in the dark horizon, way I cut turns, I'm as sharp as diamonds, got them on tilt like a car's alignment, this is raw refinement, not a hard assignment, I'ma give it gas, give it gas, bitch.
Welcome to the Garden Talk podcast. Where we
And those are videos for the day that I already know. Go check out the Bob and the Coffee. And of course, if you're on YouTube, come to the Rumble. If you're on Rumble, come to the YouTube. So we're on both because we're on Rumble Studios. You see what I'm saying? We got Craig and Poppin'. You need some monetization coaching. You know, hit your boy up on the Bob and Coffee. If not, just have a nice day. So we out of here.